Today, we're going to be talking about, can crypto make you a millionaire? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you've ever wanted to be a millionaire, do me a favor, smash that like button. Let's get started. So can crypto make you a millionaire? This is a question that I hear people talk about, like how much can you actually earn with crypto? How high will it go? I just had a conversation with an investor yesterday. He said, hey, crypto topped at $50,000. How much higher could it go? And when I told him, I think it blew his mind. When I explained to him why, he was like, wow, I've never looked at it that way. Most people don't understand what's possible with cryptocurrency. And what we're going to do in this video, this is going to be part of a 3-part series. So if you want to see the full series, we're going to break down, first of all, we're going to answer the question, can crypto make you a millionaire? The second thing we're going to do is talk about what are some basic investment strategies to be able to get started, and what is the strategy that I like to use to be able to actually invest in cryptocurrency. It's a defensive strategy. If I make a mistake or if I make a bad call, I'm still able to hedge some of my potential losses should that happen. Now, long term, I personally think the overall crypto market's going to go up a lot, and we're going to be talking about that in this video. If you want to make certain that you don't miss anything on this series, make certain that you smash that subscribe button, click the bell notification icon, and click all. I'm not going to give you some little tiny short cute little video that's just going to talk about a puff piece. I'm going to give you some hard data, some hard facts. You're not going to want to miss this. So if you like content that is real, that is actionable, then make certain that you smash that like button. Did I say that already? Well, what are you waiting for? Smash the like button. All right, let's get started. So you have to first look at what is the goal of cryptocurrencies. Too many people are hearing about cryptocurrency because it's going up in value, and everybody's like, man, if I would have just got in. You understand, right now, Bitcoin at the time of this video is sitting at $48,000. 6, 7, 8 months ago, we were under $5,000. Now, that's important for a couple of reasons, because when you talk about can crypto make you a millionaire, you have to look at where you're starting at. We're starting at roughly $50,000 Bitcoin, roughly $1,500 Ethereum. So where can you go from here at those prices? Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. It's not about just where you can go from here. We're going to look at these prices. But so much of what we're going to talk about today is recognizing how large various markets are that cryptocurrencies are looking to be able to solve. Meaning it's not just Bitcoin, it's looking at some of the major cryptocurrencies. How large of a market do they have available to them, and how much of that market do they have today? If you can't understand the long-term potential of what cryptocurrency is looking to do, or what individual projects or individual cryptos are looking to accomplish, and if you don't have conviction that that is possible, then you don't need to be investing in this space. Nothing I say in here should be considered financial advice. Absolutely nothing. These are my opinions. I'm simply an amateur YouTuber. I'm definitely not a financial advisor. So with that being said, you have to understand and do the research for yourself and recognize the potential of cryptocurrency. Just like the gentleman yesterday, when I explained to him how far I thought Bitcoin could go and why, immediately his mindset changed. He said, wow, I've been reading all these articles talking about Bitcoin breaking 100,000, Bitcoin breaking 250,000. He said, and I didn't fully understand why. He said, I was just looking at past performance, trying to figure out trend lines. He said, but when you put it in the perspective that you're talking about right now, that radically shifts your mindset as an investor. And I said, absolutely. So you as the listener, what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, do I believe that crypto can do the same thing that crypto wealth thinks that it can do overall as an industry? And if you don't, then you have to adjust your investing plan accordingly. So Bitcoin's trying to take on the behemoth. They're ultimately looking to basically replace currency. I mean, that is the original idea, the original intent of the early Bitcoin blockchain enthusiasts. When Bitcoin was first created, it was the idea that what if this could one day be a centralized currency of the world? We're not going to go that far. I do think that's possible. I've often said Bitcoin could go to $1 million. So essentially, owning one Bitcoin could get you to $1 million. Mrs. Wealth asked me one time, she said, how far do you think Bitcoin could actually go? Like, how realistic? And I said, I think it could get to $1 million. She said, but how realistic is that? And I said, baby, it's a long shot, but it's a very real shot. It's not outside the realm of possibility. The way Bitcoin gets to $1 million is just simply take over the monetary system of the world. If you do the math on the current coin market cap versus the entire circulating supply of money, essentially, you get to $1 million, but we're not going to go that far. Right now, you're hearing people talk about Bitcoin being a great store of value, a great store of wealth. That's really interesting when you consider that Bitcoin being a store of value. Right now, the total market cap of gold is $11 trillion. That's how much gold, if you take the price of gold and you calculate it by the total amount of gold, the total amount of known gold that has been mined, and you calculate that by the current price per ounce, you end up getting $11 trillion market cap. So what's the current price of Bitcoin? The current price of Bitcoin is sitting at $900 billion. It's not even $1 trillion yet. So in order for Bitcoin to get to $11 trillion, Bitcoin would have to at least 10x. At the very, very least, it would have to 10x. That's assuming that it doesn't go all the way to, replace the supply. That means of money, meaning Bitcoin only becomes the best store of value that exists. And that's only assuming gold. It's not assuming gold plus a silver market, plus other precious metals. It's just looking at gold alone, saying that Bitcoin's the new gold. And that's what I told my buddy yesterday. I said, listen, it has to get to at least $500,000 to be, one of the best stores of value that exist. It still has potential to go up a lot more, and that's also assuming based on 21 million Bitcoin. But understand, there's 21 million Bitcoin to be mined. However, Bitcoin are lost all the time. Wallets, keys are lost to wallets all the time. So so each individual Bitcoin would have to probably be worth a little bit more than $500,000 if it was to replace the current market cap of gold. And we're just using that as a possible perspective. So with that being said, own one Bitcoin. You're like, well, I don't have $50,000. Okay, we'll talk about that in the second part of this video, but that's just an example. It's one of the greatest asset potential valuations that may exist, meaning what other asset do we have that could go up to that level? And we have the closest amount of certainty that could be possible. Now, mind you, Bitcoin may pull back. We may see a 20%, 30%, or 50% pullback. I mean, that's very possible over the next 3 to 6 months of next year. So if that happens, you've got to be aware of that and recognize, hey, now I don't need $50,000 to buy one. I might need $25,000 to buy one. I believe that everybody should do their best to ultimately own at least one Bitcoin. Now, we're just talking about Bitcoin right now. We're talking about one project. We're talking about owning one Bitcoin or owning two Bitcoin, becoming a millionaire. $100,000, less than most people's home in America anyway. And if it pulls back, it could be $50,000 to own two. Again, you buy Bitcoin today, most people are trying to sit on it and wait and hope and wonder, and they got to sit through bear markets, and we could have another 2-year bear market cycle, and people have to wait for that. And it's hard, it's challenging. Most people don't have the self-discipline to do that. I've got some strategies. We're going to be discussing the specifics of the strategies in the second and third video, so stay tuned for that. But understand, today it's just understanding what is it that cryptocurrency is trying to accomplish, what is it the blockchain technologies are trying to accomplish, and how much more growth potential do they have. Let's continue on. Let's look at the internet. Ethereum, currently second cryptocurrency based on market cap, sitting at about $1,500 at the time of this video. $171 billion is the market cap. How much more potential could we have with Ethereum? There's a lot of, it's really hard to determine this, but early on Ethereum was talking about becoming like the decentralized internet. Now that depends on how you want to define decentralized internet, but let's just say Ethereum right now, because of its current positioning in the market cap, it's most likely to become the project that the blockchain that hosts decentralized internet. And let's just look at that, for example, because there is a movement because of government censorship to go to a decentralized internet in lots of places in the world. It's becoming popular, even becoming talked about more often here in the US. We're just looking at the backbone of the internet, but there are a lot of projects, for example, that if there's a decentralized internet, they would play a part in that ecosystem. But we're just looking at one, and we're just looking at, in this case, Ethereum. So right now, let's just look at how many Ethereum addresses there are. 135 million, 140 million Ethereum addresses. And that sounds like a lot, but it's nothing. Assuming that every internet user would need an Ethereum address. And again, maybe Ethereum doesn't become, it's not about, I'm sitting here banking on the fact that Ethereum is going to be the one and only project that could become the decentralized internet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how much growth potential exists in the crypto space for them to achieve their maximum potential. So Ethereum sitting at 140,000 Ethereum addresses right now. But let's take a look at internet users. Worldwide internet users, 5 billion as of December 2020. 5 billion. That's like a 30 plus X growth that would have to happen for Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency. Currently, Ethereum is the biggest. So if there's another one coming along, say Polkadot, for example, you would see far more growth potential there. And so the question is, which should you buy? Should you buy Ethereum? Should you buy Polkadot? We'll be talking about how to make that decision a little bit later, but that is the decision. In this video, it's can crypto make you a millionaire? And the answer to that, I think, is even a fraction of the growth potential exists, and you start investing now, and you ride out the next bear market, because there will be another bear market, and you continue to accumulate. I think the answer you're going to see, and you're going to continue to see as we go through this video, is absolutely. So now we've looked at the currency market, right? We've looked at the internet market. I want to look at one more. I want to look at the debt market. And there's a couple of different ways. This is a hard statistic to look at. If you look at private debt, now private debt is like venture capitalists, Shark Tank. That's considered a form of private debt. What you see if you see Dragon's Den in Canada or other parts of the world, or if you see the Shark Tank in the U.S., then what you see happening to those sharks, that's considered private debt. In many cases, where they're basically lending money, or if you're in real estate, a hard money loan is a type of private debt. Of course, private debt comes in many different forms and types, but the overall private debt market's about $1.46 trillion is what it's projected to be at by the end of 2025. Now, why is that important? Because decentralized finance may be taking the place of private debt. At 1.46 trillion, what is the possibility? Now, I actually think DeFi could be much larger than private debt, but just at 1.46 trillion, basically, let's use round numbers, $1.5 trillion. How much growth has to exist right now? This is just the private debt side. If you look at right now, Binance Smart Chain and Ethereum combined, two of the largest platforms where decentralized finance applications exist. I think Ethereum has 40 something billion. I think it's 40 billion locked up. So 48 billion, let's just say 50 billion. $50 billion. $50 billion is still a very long way from 1.6 trillion. Now, what's interesting about this 1.6 trillion, that's only private debt. We're not even talking about nation debt. How much debt are individual nations in? See, this is a very interesting statistic because we're not sure how blockchain could affect this. Because this is how the countries with the most foreign debt, borrowing debt for one another. And this is in trillions of dollars. The U.S., which, by the way, this is also making an argument for Bitcoin, because a lot of countries are looking at cryptocurrencies. They're looking at their own individual digital dollars, but I believe that's just a stepping stone for what ultimately will become decentralized cryptocurrencies. I think citizens will ultimately want to use decentralized cryptocurrencies, but that's a whole nother explanation, a whole nother topic for another day. But if you just look at the foreign debt these countries are in, $20 trillion in the U.S., 8 trillion in UK, 6 trillion in France, and it keeps going. What's that? 28. Let's just do some rough math here. We're talking about 20, 28, 34, 39, 43, 47, 51, $53 trillion in debt. The debt market is enormous. It is absolutely enormous. And if DeFi only has, hypothetically 40 billion, 100x, or, that's an enormous amount of potential growth. Again, that's assuming that debt ultimately goes to cryptocurrency, and it will. It will. The only question is it going to be centralized or decentralized? How do we know that it will? Well, because Iran, which is not listed up here because they have sanctions, is already dealing in Bitcoin. The U.S. government's looking to create FedCoin. The U.K. is looking at their own digital currency. China is looking at their own digital currency. They're not listed up here. Russia is looking at their own digital currency. They're not listed up here. Many of the other EU companies are looking at digital currencies. So without question, debt will be held in some sort of digital currency. But do you think the FedCoin is going to loan the FedCoin to the UK? And do you think American government is going to take UK's digital currency? No, they're going to want some sort of middle component. Historically, it's been gold reserves. They've borrowed gold against one another historically prior to the US dollar. Now you're talking about potentially they could opt for something like Bitcoin or Ethereum and create truly decentralized contracts with one another, essentially a smart contract. You're talking about the highest possible level of success for truly decentralized DeFi projects. I mean, that would be enormous, but that possibility is there. This potential is there. We're moving to a more digital world all the time. Blockchain is in its infancy still. So the growth potential could be staggering. Now, the question is, do they do these loans, and do they use smart contracts for these loans? And what cryptocurrency do they use? You can make an argument for Bitcoin. You can make an argument for Ethereum. You can make an argument for other cryptocurrencies. But at the end of the day, if you just look at the DeFi space, the lending space that exists on cryptocurrency right now is somewhere around 50 billion. That's it. This market is sitting, closer to 50 trillion. An enormous growth potential. And we're just scratching the surface. Oh, by the way, the U.S. national debt, that's the one that when you talk about money supply, you talk about, $27 trillion is the U.S. national debt, in case you're wondering. And by the way, I want to show you this real quick because most people don't think about this. And this is also an argument for cryptocurrency. This is why citizens may one day opt for cryptocurrency. Because if you take a look at this, the U.S. is debasing their currency faster and faster, meaning it will buy less and less. And people are starting to take notice of this. And it's why you're seeing such a big push right now for things like universal basic income. And you're seeing a big push for things like minimum wage increases, because people are realizing they're just not making enough money to live on. And they're beginning to realize that even when they start getting raises on the job, or if they go to college and they get a job, they're still not quite making enough to live to where they think they should. So the question is, what's going on here? There's a lot of things going on. There's some systemic mismanagement of finances that may be going on, but at the same time, the US dollar is getting devalued, and it's about to happen at a fast rate. Check this out. So debt clock time machine. This is going forward basically 4 years. So we're in 2021 now. We're talking about going down to 2025. 4 years from now, watch this number, 27 trillion. Watch this number. Boom. 49 trillion, almost 50, almost double. Do you know what that means? That means if you spent $100,000 to go to college today, in 5 years, that same $100,000 you spent to go to college would only buy $50,000 worth of stuff, meaning it's worth less. It buys less. When your grandparents said that, a candy bar used to cost $0.25, but today that same candy bar costs $1, that's inflation. The problem is your grandparents and you, that's decades difference. You're talking about this possibly happening. Now, by the way, if you don't know how that calculation occurs, it's based on the current rate that the government's going in debt, the current speed, where it would be at in just 4 years if nothing changes. And the answer to that is almost $50 trillion in debt. So imagine taking out a student loan for $100,000 to get a degree, to get an advanced degree. You owe interest on that student loan, plus you got to pay it back with dollars that are worth about half as much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a disaster. And it's because of government policies that are devaluing our currency. This is another argument for why people would want a decentralized cryptocurrency. The problems that blockchain is looking to solve are not small problems. And it's just scratching the surface. All right, let's jump ahead to a whole nother industry. This is going to be fun. How about video games? So the video game industry right now is at about, latest statistic I could find, 180 billion. And 180 billion. And they said experts don't see growth taking a hit in 2021. It's not going to take a hit in 2021. More people will spend time at home, so it's probably just going to go even further. But 180 billion is the total, I started to say coin market cap, is the size of the industry. 180, that's 180 plus 9 zeros, 180 billion. Blockchain gaming is incredible. It offers a lot of, there's so many different projects in this space. There's blockchain games that are working on NFTs and collectibles. There are blockchain games that are working on like on-chain transactions where you can basically sell your in-game items to somebody else to use in potentially another game, or literally shift ownership through tokenizing it on a blockchain. Again, all that gets a little bit complicated, but there's a huge push towards going to heavily blockchain games. Now understand, I want you to go back, some of you that are old enough to remember this and some of you aren't, but back in the 80s and I guess it was 80s, so it's the early 90s, probably really the 80s, arcades were a big thing. Now some of you weren't even born in the 80s, but you didn't have gaming consoles. You went to a place of business, you put quarters in a machine and you played arcade. And back then, no one could imagine gaming consoles getting to the place where they are today. In fact, you got to try to project forward and be like, hey, can I see this happening? Is this a possibility? Not only that, then the next reiteration was internet gaming. Internet gaming, when it first started, it was super cool. But most people probably never expected that the vast majority of popular video games would end up on the internet. Talk about gaming on apps right now on your smartphone, your smart devices. I mean, young kids growing up now, less than 10 years old, are playing, multiplayer games on apps on the internet. 20 years ago, nobody could even see something like that happening. So I think what we're going to see the blockchain use, I think a good comparison is how the internet really changed gaming in a big way. I think we're going to see that same sort of shift on blockchain. And I think we're going to see many games, dare I say the vast majority of games, have some sort of blockchain component. A big one, a huge one, is being able to own in-game assets where you earn a weapon or you earn some sort of a skin and it's yours to literally keep, and it has a real world value of some sort. I mean, that's revolutionary if you think about it. I mean, it's extraordinary. So the potential is incredible, but here's a big number. I just told you the whole gaming industry's 80 billion. You're not even looking at, there's only 50,000 users, 52,000 users. That's nothing. I mean, we're not even at a $3 million, $4 million in volume, total volume. Like, what's 50,000 users? I mean, that's nothing. 50,000 users, that's nothing. So, I mean, you're talking about just scratching the surface. I should have looked up how many video game players in the U.S. I didn't even look that up. And that's just the U.S., not even considered worldwide. 50,000 users is nothing. Nothing. The question is, what cryptocurrency plays a part in it, and what is their growth potential? Well, Ethereum may play a part in it, or Polkadot may play a part in it. One of those decentralized blockchains that are designed to be programmable blockchains could play a part in it. Who knows? But at the same time, there's other projects like, for example, Engine, a better way to use a blockchain. Their whole focus is really about trading, monetizing, and tokenizing your assets on a blockchain. Which Engine, I believe, is an ERC20 token. Someone can correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe it's an ERC20 token. And there's so many other industries that are going to be affected by blockchain and by cryptocurrency. You're talking about possibly voting. I believe we're going to see voting going to blockchain. You're talking about payment solutions. There's so much growth potential that I think, without a question, can crypto make you a millionaire? Many, many times over. Now, it's fair to say it depends on where you start. But just because you start with $1,000 doesn't mean you can't get there. It's not like you can invest $1,000 only once and never go there again. I mean, if you were to invest $50,000 today, I think you got a better shot at becoming a millionaire through Bitcoin than you would ever have playing the lottery. Just my personal opinion, but I think that's a no-brainer. Let's put it this way. I have probably bought less than $10 worth of lottery tickets in my life. And I own many, 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 many more multiples of that in cryptocurrency. Why? Because cryptocurrency, it might be a long shot, but it's a very, very real shot. So can you become a millionaire? Well, it depends on a couple of things. It depends on what is your strategy, what you're investing in, and how you're looking to get there. How quick, what kind of time frame are you looking at? And it also depends on where you're starting at. Like, how much money do you have to start with? And what is your plan? Do you plan to continue investing? We're going to be looking at that in another video, and the actual strategy that you want to be able to do that. Now, in a previous video, I talked about I had just released my 2.75% per day strategy. Now, we're not talking about doing any sort of investing like this. This would definitely be even higher risk investing. This sort of passive income investment has a place for me personally, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later in this series. But I released this video. This video is just talking about the video that I released, the strategy that I released. This was for our members of our Crypto Passive Profits course. And again, we're not even talking about trying to do something like that. We're talking about being able to find a strategy that can get you to where you're at today, to where you ultimately want to go. And for arbitrary sake, we're just saying millionaire. Now, maybe it's just about being wealthy. You just want to, you want to have enough to retire on, and maybe you feel like you need a few $100,000, or maybe you need multiple millions. So can crypto make you a millionaire? I absolutely personally believe it can. Stay tuned. We're going to start going into the strategy in my next video. If you haven't done so already, smash that subscribe button, click that bell notification icon, and click all. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out. I wonder what the market cap of freedom would be.